Hello and welcome to World of Sports, your roundup of all of the weekend's global sporting action. I am your host, Joshua Barnes, and you join us today for a bumper special with the Premier League back in action with fireworks, this on the opening weekend. Manchester City began their title defence in style, thumping 4 past Wolves in a 4-0 win. Just to clarify, not title defence, they of course lost that to Liverpool last year, but Arsenal edged Manchester United 1-0 at Old Trafford thanks to a Ricardo Calafiori header denying Ruben Amorim a victory on that debut game of the season. Nottingham Forest beat Brentford 3-1 with a Chris Wood brace, while Sunderland marked their return to the top flight in style with the commanding 3-0 victory. Elsewhere, Crystal Palace were left frustrated after Eberiche Eze's wonder free kick was chalked off by VAR in a goalless draw with Chelsea. Also in transfer news, Newcastle landed Jacob Ramsey from Villa, while Manchester United are weighing a shock move to bring David De Gea back to Old Trafford. After one round, City, Sunderland, Spurs, Liverpool, Forest and Arsenal sit level at the top of the table on 3 points each. Some excellent action at play, and joining us to discuss all the ramifications of the opening weekend, but also what's expected in the season to come, we have Pradyumna Tembekar, who is an Indian ambassador at the FIFA World Cup. Thank you ever so much, Pradyumna, for joining us. Let's look at the opening weekend of action. Who stood out for you?
Well, I hoped it would have been Chelsea who should have stood out, honestly. But as you correctly mentioned, I should say, Man City looked like as if they were defending their title, even if they were not champions last season. I guess it's a tie between Liverpool and Man City for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Some great wins for both of those teams. Questions have been raised about Liverpool's defence, of course, conceding to Bournemouth. This new system that Slot is playing with very advanced fullbacks. We saw it with Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold, but now he's got Milos Kerkez and, of course, Jeremy Frimpong, a new addition to the league, both with great attacking output. Do you think Liverpool are vulnerable, and will other teams look at how Bournemouth scored 2 goals and take that forward?
Pretty much this could be Liverpool's story, at least for the first half of the season, at least till the time they go on to sign some new additions in the winter transfer window. And I think Onslaught would definitely want to have recruitments, especially in the defensive midfield, because let's be honest, the transition that Frimpong and Kirkis tried to show was more towards an inclined or an inverted fullback type formation, something which Enzo Maresca tried with Chelsea. But yes, there is space on those defensive flanks. And to be honest with you, a little bit of fitness concerns to be handled on both those defensive areas. And I think Liverpool should be sorted.
Yes, absolutely. And let's look at, of course, the other team that had a statement win, Manchester City. I am a City fan, so I take some enjoyment out of it. There were several new players who were on the field in a City shirt in the Premier League for the first time. One of them, Tijjani Reinders, of course, a player that was bought from AC Milan. He didn't necessarily have the most amazing season with his team last year, AC Milan finishing down in 8th and missing out on Europe, but he really put his stamp on this game against Wolves. He was pivotal in 3 of the goals in terms of assists or goals or key contributions.
Also, at the same time, you look at the time at which Reinders scored that goal, potentially towards the end of the first half, towards the 37th minute or 38th minute, if I'm not mistaken. So he also made a statement by saying that he can grind out that personal contribution in the build-up to the team's victory, uh, and something which is seen in the previous club that he was playing for, traditionally known for grinding out results and making sure individual contributions are counted. Also, at the same time, City being City, so Reinders also looked as if what Fabian Delph used to be for Pep Guardiola in the previous seasons, that the transitional player who could also fall back and create that extra man in defense. Also, at the same time, contributing to Haaland's progress and himself being in majority of the opposition half right from minute one. Just goes to show what kind of a signing he could actually turn out to be for Guardiola and City this season.
Yes, Pradyumna. Of course, that Man City team coming off a difficult campaign last year, not getting that fifth title in a row, but the money spent by City and other Premier League teams has been the highest in Europe and across the world. This is something that we see regularly. I do want to pivot back to Liverpool before we look at some other games, because they have gone big in the market. Florian Wirtz, the standout signing, but so many names added and questions about whether a striker will be added as well. Do you have them as your favourites after this first weekend of action? Has anything changed, most football fans, in your mind, potentially, in Liverpool being the standout favourites?
Honestly, do you want them to be title favorites? Is the
Not,
question.
not at all. I don't. But I'm worried that they are by far and away the clear candidates to win it. Once they click with those new players, I don't see a way in which that talent doesn't come together, with Salah still scoring as well. And if he can fire this year, I do think that they are the standout favourites for me.
Also, at the same time, yes, you see the front three, they've all been on goal scoring records right from game one. Like you see the forward line of Liverpool, Mo Salah, Ekitike, Cody Gakpo, all of them are on the scoring sheet. And McAllister also looks as if he's about to bag in goals every single game. So is Van Dijk or Konate for that matter. Yes, sometimes it does feel that they might be lacking a proper out and out number nine, something which Roberto Firmino used to do for Jurgen Klopp, or even Sadio Mane used to play for Klopp. So that kind of an out and out player who can be good on the ball right from the defensive third all the way to the opposition box. I think yes, one probably a super sub kind of substitution. I think Liverpool should be able to not. I mean, as Chelsea and Man City fans, we don't personally wouldn't want them to cross the finish line earlier than us, but looks like they're still about to defend the crown.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, that front line that you talk about, so many new players in the forward areas for Liverpool. Ekitike getting that goal. Of course, he's proven himself in Germany with Frankfurt, had a brief spell at PSG as well, learning from the likes of Messi and Mbappe when they were there. But there is one big name player who was right at the top of the scoring charts last year, who wasn't in action this weekend as his side played out a drab 0-0 draw. Of course, Newcastle versus Villa, that was the game. And the player is Alexander Isak, of course. His head was turned by that Liverpool move. He currently isn't featuring for the Magpies up in Newcastle. Pradyumna, do you think that there is any chance Isak joins Liverpool? And if he doesn't, how does he get integrated back into Eddie Howe's team?
Personally, personally, as a Chelsea fan, or even for you as a Man City fan, we wouldn't want Isak to join Liverpool anytime soon. Anytime soon, not in the next 2 to 3 seasons, please. There's a trophy drought in London. There's a trophy drought in the other side of Manchester. Even if Man City is trophyless just for a season or half a season for that matter. But yes, sometimes in when you see situations like these, or when you hear as fans about potential transfers as the season starts, yes, the speculations do rise. But I just hope if Isak goes, good for his career. But as fans, it's going to be again bad match days, be it Chelsea or Man City.
Yes, absolutely. Isak to Liverpool could be one hand on the Premier League trophy for Liverpool. Also joining us in this longer discussion today after the opening weekend is Ranjit Bajaj, the Minerva Punjab founder. Thank you ever so much for joining us in this discussion, Ranjit. Let's get your opening thoughts on that weekend of action. Is there anyone that you were surprised about that you thought might perform better, whether that's because of their window or because of their results last season?
First of all, thank you so much for having me, and good evening to the esteemed guests, especially Shaji and Pradyumna. Thank you for being with me on this panel. Yes, I think not underperformed, but I think all the major new signings performed as per their expectations, and some even outperformed. Like from day one coming to the Premier League and scoring goals, be it the Liverpool signings, even even though Manchester United lost to Arsenal, but Mbeumo was looking very, very dangerous, and he probably should have got a goal, and he was good for another one. He was really, really, looking class apart. At the same time, even though he's an old player of Tottenham, Richardson from the very get-go was looking like that he's going to get the goal. So before he got the actual brilliant goal, which he did with the overhead kick, he had 2 or 3 other chances which he created for himself. So he's looking much better than he was looking in last season.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, as an Arsenal fan, Ranjit, there are 3 points on the board for Mikel Arteta's team. Lots of questions have been raised in the media and amongst fans about now finally ending that trophy drought. Of course, so long since there was a league title. Do you think that this performance is one of a champion side, of course not at their best, dominated at points by a Man United side with many experts having little expectation about them finishing top 4 or even potentially in European places? Is this a true sign of grit, especially after so long off from competitive action?
Yes, I think so, definitely. Going away to Man U is never easy. I mean, the number of times they've won in Man U, even in the last 10 years after the Invincibles, you could count on your fingers, because it's a very, very tough place to go to. So to pull off that draw, and especially when you're not playing champagne football like they usually were playing in the end of the last season, I think it's a great, creditable draw. And things can only get better, because what you saw was the new signings again. The new signing got an assist, and new signing got a goal. So you saw the new boys picking up. That means they've gelled well. I think with the new Norwegian beast coming in, Goikaris, and along with Erin Haaland on the other side, I think there's going to be a great competition between them two, that who is going to be scoring more, because he's a prolific scorer, and I've seen his matches when he was playing in Germany. I mean, he's out of this world. When the Premier League fans see him get going, he's going to be a star. And I think we've got the title coming this year. I think it's twice if he missed it. And this year, I think we've got the ring. That's what happened, by the way, with Liverpool. Liverpool missed the title very, very by minute points against Man City, and Jurgen Klopp was there, and he learned from those mistakes because he's a great coach. The same way I think I rank Arteta right up there. He's learned, and I think Arteta has become better and better every year.
Yes, Pradyumna, I'm going to come back to you. As a Chelsea fan, of course, Palace almost won it with that disallowed goal from Eberechi Eze. But Chelsea looked tired. I think that was one thing that I personally got from the game. Of course, their campaign last season ended with victory in the Club World Cup and, of course, a European trophy. But do you think it will take some extra time for this Chelsea squad, which has a lot of youngsters in it, to hit the ground running with such a short period of rest time compared to some other teams?
Yes, absolutely. I think not as a Chelsea fan, but as somebody who watches football, yes, looked as if the post-Club World Cup fatigue did kick in. Probably the hangover still intact from the celebrations after 2.5 seasons of going through all that period of transition. And also at the same time, yes, couple of players did show their charm, especially Joao Pedro was quite impressive from the Club World Cup form he wanted to carry forward. This team looked like, especially the starting 11, looked as if they wanted to carry forward. More like Enzo Maresca would have probably told them in the dressing room, more of the same, please, from whatever they did in the United States. And probably when you see a team like Crystal Palace who's running high on form, as well as seen an upgradation in the trophy cabinet with winning the FA Cup in such fashion along with the Community Shield. So that just shows the kind of momentum these guys are also gaining. And a London derby of sorts could have gone either way. Is his goal disallowed through VAR? But yes, more like the squad wanted to adjust into the new system and the new identity that the club has formed of itself after all those transitions. So Chelsea might need a little time, and I guess a couple of tips about winning games and trophies from Ranjit Bajaj, and I think Chelsea would probably gain some advice from him.
Yes.
I'd rather give it to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ranjit, as we bring an end to this extended discussion, there was one result that stood out. We don't have too much longer left. But of course, Sunderland, on their return to the Premier League, they've spent time in League One, they've spent time in the Championship, and coming back with a 3-0 statement win against West Ham. How do you think Sunderland will fare this season? Is this a one-off result, or is there a possibility of them staying up?
I really think they have it in them to stay up this year, probably a lower mid-table finish or a mid-table finish. Why? Because any team which has come up 2 divisions and they have been champions in both, that means they've been building on their squad and they've got great momentum going. So I won't count on them being relegated again back this year. So if they are able to stay on and then able to build on that, then maybe the Stadium light will actually see Premier League light for a long time to come.
Yes, absolutely. I'd like to thank both of our guests, Ranjit and also Pradyumna, for joining us on this special discussion. Of course, so many weeks of football up ahead. That break felt so short, but all sports fans across the world really excited for the upcoming seasons. We're now going to shift our attention to cricket, and Australia have edged South Africa by 2 wickets in Cairns to seal the T20 series, scoring the results as 2-1. Glenn Maxwell smashed 62 off 36 balls, with skipper Mitchell Marsh adding 54, as Australia chased down 173 with just 1 delivery to spare. The Will Brevis had earlier top scored for the Proteas with 53, but it wasn't enough. Meanwhile, in the 100, young pacer Sonny Barker made headlines with a stunning hat-trick for Manchester Originals at Old Trafford, dismissing Dawid Malan, Tom Laws and Jacob Duffy. Baker becomes only the 4th bowler in men's 100 history to claim a hat-trick. The 21-year-old was also recently called up to England's senior squad just days before, underlining his rise as a future pace spearhead. Let's move into the ring now, as Moses Sitoma made a thunderous statement in Riyadh, stopping veteran heavyweight Dillian Whyte in under 2 minutes. This in their clash of a rising star and potentially now a fading legend. The 20-year-old southpaw floored Whyte with a brutal right hook just 119 seconds into round 1. Though Whyte beat the count, the referee waved it off, sparking protest from the former world title challenger, but most agreed the stoppage was fair. Itoma's promoter Frank Warren praised the young fighter's execution and composure, calling him a star beyond his years. The young Brit himself declared he's ready for anyone next, even a world title shot. At just 20, Itoma looks destined for the top, but of course a heavyweight division that is packed with talent, and Alexander Usyk currently at the top of the tree. Moving to rugby now, New Zealand are back on top of the rankings. The All Blacks reclaimed the #1 spot with a commanding 41-24 win over Argentina in Cordoba. Sevu Reece and Ardie Savea were among the try scorers as New Zealand sealed the match with late power, moving past Ireland and South Africa in the rankings. The Springboks themselves, meanwhile, suffered a stunning collapse at Ellis Park, leading Australia 22-0. They conceded 38 unanswered points in a 38-22 defeat. James O'Connor inspired the Wallabies' comeback, while Rassie Erasmus admitted that South Africa simply lost their fight. The results mean New Zealand return to the summit, with Ireland second and the Boks slipping down to third. We now look to the Cincinnati Open, where world #1 Jannik Sinner met world #2 Carlos Alcaraz in yet another chapter of their fierce rivalry. However, this game was stopped prematurely as Sinner, with illness, was forced to stop 5-0 down. He, of course, was looking to repeat victory that he claimed at Wimbledon, winning the last major title. Up next is the US Open, where Sinner will hopefully recover and reclaim another Grand Slam title. Carlos Alcaraz wins another Masters 100 title. Meanwhile, Iga Swiatek beat Jasmine Paulina to claim another title. She, of course, won Wimbledon as well. And we finally finish on golf, as Scottie Scheffler produced a brilliant final round to win the BMW Championship at Caves Valley. He trailed the day 4 shots at the start, with world #1 carding a 67 to finish 15 under, 2 clear of Rob McIntyre, who faltered early with 3 bogeys in his first 5 holes. Scheffler sealed it with a stunning chip-in birdie at the 17th taking home $3.6 million from the $20 million purse. Maverick McNeely finished third at 11 under, while Tommy Fleetwood and Sam Burns shared fourth. Rory McIlroy closed in a tie for 12th, and the win secures Scheffler's place atop the FedEx Cup standings heading into the Tour Championship finale. Well, thank you for joining us on World of Sports. We'll be back next week for